Of course, oil has always been at the center of Western policy toward Iran, and you've written about some recently released documents that date back to the 1953 coup organized by the CIA against the democratically elected leader of Iran. Could you talk about that and also why it's taken so long for these latest documents to be released?
Well, as you say, it's so long ago, and actually, according to rules, there's a 30-year rule, so documents could be released. It's taken 3 decades up beyond that before the State Department released these. It's like pulling teeth out of someone. And the reason, when you look at it, is that, well, there are 2 reasons. One is that what the documents show is actually the importance of oil in the coup. The conventional wisdom is, oh, it was all the Cold War scare of communism. But here you see actually very occasionally when Eisenhower intervenes in a discussion, it's about question of oil contracts and so on, and how nationalization would disrupt the whole international framework and would be a threat to U.S. interests, oil interests elsewhere. But another, I think, reason they have been so reluctant to publish these documents is that it shows how involved the U.S. embassy was, the ambassador, in internal Iranian affairs. It's like looking at an imperial power in a semi-colonial situation. The ambassador acts basically like a viceroy, involved in many different internal politics. He often says, oh, of course, it's not my business to be involved in internal politics, but then he goes ahead and, in fact, does get involved. And the astounding discovery, I was surprised, is how the CIA was involved in the elections that were held in 1952 during the Mossadegh period. And what their strategy was to undermine Mossadegh through parliament. And a lot of money went into basically getting what CIA thought would be their favorable candidates elected. And this we didn't know before. But then you see also when they talk about, well, we need to get rid of Mossadegh, they have 18 candidates the U.S. discusses who is suitable to have the next.
But when you talk about what wasn't known and what was, you're a professor, but most people don't even know what was known was the deep U.S. CIA involvement with Allen Dulles, the brother of John Foster Dulles. Allen Dulles, head of the CIA, John Foster Dulles, Secretary of State, who together, and then, of course, there's Eisenhower and others who engineer this coup using Teddy Roosevelt's grandson, Kermit Roosevelt, as the bad guy, the guy who comes with bags of money and actually overthrows Mohammad Mossadegh, the democratically elected leader.
But actually, even there, the conventional wisdom was you had the Truman administration, and then when Eisenhower came in, the machinery was put for the coup, and it was the Eisenhower administration with Kermit Roosevelt and Dulles doing it. What these documents show, which is astounding, before Eisenhower, under the Truman administration, there was actually a deep state. And the deep state in the CIA were exactly Dulles and Kermit Roosevelt. They were in charge of the Iran desk in the CIA from 1951, long before the Eisenhower. So they were pushing for real action in Iran before Eisenhower came in. And they were working very closely with the British before the Eisenhower administration.
And they tried to get Kermit Roosevelt to do the same thing the next year in 1954 in Guatemala. He refused, but they did it anyway and overthrew the democratically elected leader in Guatemala, Arbenz. So when we hear discussions today about Russia interfering with our elections, I think it's very important for people to understand U.S. history. Let me ask you a last question about the New York Times last month, naming the so-called Dark Prince to run Iran operations, signaling a tougher stance. The New York Times reporting Michael D'Andrea, now running the CIA's Iran operations. He oversaw the hunt for Osama bin Laden, American drone strike campaign that kills thousands of Islamist militants and hundreds of civilians. Your thoughts when you heard this and the anger of the Trump administration of revealing his name?
I don't know the politics of that, really. I think, again, they're very confused about what to do with Iran. And this is a reflection of that.
I'm just wondering if in the documents, we've got about 30 seconds, you came across the name of Donald Wilhelm at all, who was a CIA guy who went to Iran after the overthrow of Mossadegh, who was actually the Mayor Bill de Blasio's uncle.
Yeah, he actually ghost wrote the Shah's memoirs.
Yes.
It would be interesting to know something more about the family history. I don't think there would be much political discussions between this part of the family and that part. He was kind of a CIA academic.
Well, we will leave it there. Evan Abrahamian, thanks so much for being with us, retired professor of history at Baruch College, City University of New York. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Our website is democracynow.org.